When art lovers really want to compliment a particular painting, they'll say it speaks to them. And that's never been more true or more literal than in the paintings now at the Mississippi Arts Center in downtown Jackson. When you look at the vibrant portrait of Leona Watts, for example, you'll see a strong 82-year-old woman surrounded by debris, and this is what you'll hear.
Well, it was my mansion. It always has been my mansion.
Watts is speaking about her home in Long Beach, Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. The audio and painting are combined to form a stunning new mixed media exhibit called Backyards and Beyond.
This was the dining room. That was the living room.
The exhibit uses art to tell stories. Stories of hardship, stories of struggle, and deeply personal stories of recovery on Mississippi's Gulf Coast.
As you enter the show, there are 81 paintings. I've been working for almost 2.5 years on that part of it.
H.C. Porter is a gifted painter and photographer. She combines the two art forms to create one, similar to what Andy Warhol did with his famous Marilyn Monroe paintings in the 1960s. But while Warhol used muted tones, Porter's paintings are filled with vibrant golds and yellows and deep blues to give the images an intense effect. She's been documenting Mississippi life this way for years. She was showing her artwork in Pennsylvania when Katrina hit, and it didn't take long before she knew that images of the storm recovery would be her next project.
I've always documented Mississippians with my work. People were seeing that, identifying with that community and emotion, and they said, you know, why aren't you at home? Your work speaks so well of Mississippi. Go home and allow your work to tell the story of what's happening in your state.
Porter went one step further, adding another element to her work.
And not only the visual story, but we allow the person to tell their own personal story through the audio, and that's been edited to a 30 to 90 second clip.
While Porter took photographs to capture the emotional visual story, collaborator Carol Sessoms interviewed the homeowners to get their story in their own words.
One of the taglines, I think, of the show that we've used is, there was healing in the telling and the being heard. So the sound bites are interesting because we know of maybe a 2-hour conversation that we had with somebody, and the viewer is going to get a minute or 90 seconds.
Like the paintings, all of the audio stories are personal, like that of Faye Breland, who in the midst of construction around her, tells about her house of restoration.
But I was glad when he came back and I said, okay, God, you left me with a frame. You didn't see fit to leave me with a slab, so it must mean you want me to be here.
The paintings talk to visitors through something that looks like a walkie-talkie that they're given when they enter the exhibit. On the wall plate next to each painting is the audio number assigned to that painting. When the visitor punches in that number, the portraits of people like Anita Padilla of Waveland come alive in a different way.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think that this place would be, that I'd never see it again.
The exhibit opens tomorrow, and it will remain on display in Jackson for the next 3 months. There's no admission fee, but they are accepting donations to help families continue to rebuild on the Gulf Coast. Because Porter says the exhibit is not so much about the loss as it is the recovery.
I want you to be inspired. I want you to be, fascinated and arrested and haunted and completely and totally inspired. We don't want people to think, oh, Katrina, this is a tragic show. It's going to be so depressing. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to who are we as Mississippians? And why was it that the nation kept saying, they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Mississippians, they're doing it. Well, that's what we want this show to give to people.
For MPB News, I'm Ron Brown.
Arts reporting on MPB is supported in part by the Mississippi Arts Commission, fostering excellence through the arts, enriching lives, and inspiring creativity, and by the Wallace Foundation, supporting ideas, sharing solutions, and expanding opportunities.